Rahubat, if you could,
Wu-Sabat,
yeah,
Master Teacher, I really, really appreciate your knowledge. I just have two questions.
correction.
I know.
I'm not the master teacher. I'm a student teacher of the master teacher, right? The
Okay,
master
sorry
teacher
about
is
that.
the Pana
My name
Babylon.
is
But go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Temi, and I'm calling from Toronto. I just have a question, actually two questions regarding like a few things I've heard you like talked about in the past. The first one is about like the planet risk. I know we deal with like a lot of facts with
Yeah.
everything like you explained. Like, do we have like any scientific evidence of like the planet risk? That's my first question. And the second question would be, I've been meditating for the most part of like this year. I'm just trying to like understand like, is there like any way I can practice like astral projection or like anything I'm doing wrong? Because I've been trying it for like close to like a year now. Because you did mention in one of the episodes that is something we should be able to do at any time we want to. But yeah, I just was wondering if you can just expand a little bit more on those questions. Thank you very, very much.
Sure. Yes, in terms of planet risk, okay, like we say, if you've never experienced something, then you can't say, okay, it's a fact to you. However, there are three main ways to establish something being truth or facts. And that's evidence, obviously, reasoning, and the experience, like I said. So even though you may not experience something, you're still able to come to a conclusion based on the evidence that's presented, or you reasoning it out. A simple example is like if I was to tell you something you've never heard of before, like I said to you, this thing's called fire and it burns. And you're like, I don't know what that is. I could say to you, okay, to show you that it burns, here are some pictures of people that have been burnt by fire. Here's the evidence. This person can show you their scars and tell you that they were burnt by a fire. So even though you still haven't experienced it yourself, there's a lot of evidence available that you can say, okay, everyone's saying this thing called fire burnt me and here are the scars and the evidence. You can say, I still don't accept it. And you can reason it out and say, okay, since these people say that they've been burnt by this thing called fire, let me do an experiment. Like, let me get a piece of paper and put this thing called fire to it, or some other thing that can burn. And you do it and you see that it burns it, right? So now you've got your reasoning, okay, that's something that I've done myself. Now, the experience part is to say, I still don't believe that. Let me put my hand in the fire. And you put your hand in the fire and it burns your hand. Now you've got experience. Because you look at it, it looks like the people who were burnt that showed you the pictures of them being burnt and their scars. You saw that it burnt something else and now it's burnt you. So you can do that to arrive at a conclusion. Now, when we look at planet risk, we were first told about this. I never heard about planet risk, but by using what's around us, like, okay, what is a planet? And we are on a planet, so we're told, and this planet is called planet Earth, and we accept that. But when you start to study it, you're like, okay, why is it called planet Earth? Because what they're calling Earth is less than what's actually available on the planet, which is water, kind of tying into the previous question. So you're like, okay, so this is called planet Earth. Are there any other planets? They will tell you Mars, Jupiter, etc., in our solar system. You've never been there before, but you accept that these are Pluto and these other planets exist. So you're like, how do you know? Well, there are pictures. People have taken, used a telescope or whatever, and they say these other planets are in our solar system, and you accept that. So you've never been there, you've never experienced it, but you accept it based on the evidence that has been shown. So when it comes to planet risk, somebody came from there that told us there's a place called Rizq, and they described it. They say it's a tri-solar system with 3 suns, and they give you so much information about it. They wrote books about it, describing it many, many, many years ago, before tri-solar systems were discovered by the Hubble telescope and now the James Webb telescope that can look back into time and look into space and get much more clearer images and evidence. So I'm saying that to say that the master teacher Panda Babyanun told us about these things before they were able to find tri-solar systems and many other things. I'm just saying to you that, yes, then other people can astral project or travel or remote view, and they come back and they also tell you like, this is what I saw. So you don't actually have to accept it. That's the thing with us. We don't say you should accept something based on belief. If you don't think there's a planet called Rizq and it doesn't exist, you're welcome not to accept it. Now, for us, for me, having been around and studying the master's works for so long and seeing that it's really about defining truth. Do you trust this person by way of what they have done and delivered, not just by lip service? And I have been studying everything he's ever said and written, and every time it has come to pass. It's always been accurate 100%. So when he tells you something, you can choose to accept it or not accept it. But those of us who know and feel it, we accept it. So yeah, that's Planet Rizq.